Hi, this is Morley and this is the M-Wire. In this video, we're going to take a look at how realistic is a $15 minimum wage nationwide. We're going to look at both the pros and cons of this, but on a more humorous note, I can't help but to think about this topic and not envision Bernie Sanders saying something like, "I should be the Secretary of the Labour Party. This is my idea and I should be the one to implement it. No one else is capable of doing it but me." Without further ado, let's get into the content. So on Tuesday, the Democrats introduced a bill that would raise the minimum wage nationally to $15 over 5 years. That would more than double the current minimum wage, which is currently at about $7.25 an hour nationwide. So it's worth mentioning that they don't plan to do it all at once, but approximately $1.50 an hour per year. And then in the final year in 2024, it would be a $1 increase. According to the Congressional Budget Office, the job losses would be approximately 1.3 million jobs. But a lot of people are under the impression that that is very, very artificially low. Some have even gone as far as to say that the job losses could potentially be as many as 3 million jobs. But unfortunately, there's no real way to find out other than implementing it. Now here's where Bernie chimes in. Let us be clear, the overwhelming majority of Americans support raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. This is not a radical idea. This is what the American people want, Senator Bernie Sanders said during a press conference before lawmakers introduced the legislation. The self-described Democratic Socialist argued that the Congress should pass the legislation through reconciliation, which would require a temporary, simple majority of Democrats in the Senate, and the Senate is split 50-50. Good old Bernie is being truthful here, however. 2/3 of Americans support a minimum wage hike to $15 an hour. The split on that is 43% Republican, 83% Democrat. But you kind of have to ask yourself, the question of whether or not everyone should get a raise is kind of asinine and ludicrous. If your boss walked by your desk and said, "Excuse me, would you like a raise? If so, how much?" what would your answer be after you picked your jaw up off the floor? The real question that has to be asked here to these people wanting $15 an hour is, if you get your $15 an hour wage that you're looking for, would it be okay if you were the first on the chopping block to be laid off? If you put it to them in a manner like that, not so many would be in support of it. Basically, everyone wants the $15, but they don't want to be laid off, which is understandable. But there's no negotiating the fact that this is not a cut and dried issue. You don't get one without the other. There's no having your cake and eating it too here. Someone is going to suffer somewhere. And that someone is in all likelihood going to be the small business owner. They certainly can't afford to pay their workers that much more of an increase because they already operate on small margins. They're not like the Walmarts of the world where they buy hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of a single product, therefore getting a better unit price on it and can sell it at a lesser price than the mom and pop store. They are accommodated no such luxury. As if small businesses haven't suffered enough already with the pandemic, I think raising the minimum wage to $15 would cause them undue hardship, even if it is over 5 years. Now we get to the part of the equation that affects everybody, the consumer. Obviously, with a $15 an hour minimum wage, everything would go up. Are people going to be willing to pay, $10, $12 for their Big Mac combo? I think that would deter a lot of people from eating out, which in turn would require less workers, which would in turn ultimately result in the replacement of that particular employee with the picture that I have on the thumbnail of this video. Do you see where this is all going? More pay for workers equals less workers, which equals more automation taking their jobs. That is the poignant reality of all this, and there's no escaping it. Another valid point is regionalism. Obviously, it's dramatically more expensive to live in certain parts of the country than others. So does it stand to reason that somebody living in Los Angeles should be making $15 an hour at the minimum, as opposed to somebody in, say, Boise, Idaho making $15? Those two things don't really commensurate. Obviously, the cost of living in Los Angeles is dramatically more expensive than Boise, Idaho, but they would effectively be getting the same money. So is the happy medium to all this implementing a minimum wage of $15 depending on how expensive it costs to live where you live? That would obviously leave a lot of people feeling very, very disenfranchised. Personally, I don't even think this is the right time to even be having this discussion. I say we open the economy and just let everybody readjust to getting things back to normal, as it were, and see exactly how bad the economic fallout is before we make any drastic changes like this. But what do you think? Leave me a comment in the comments below. Should there be a $15 an hour minimum wage, or is that just Looney Tunes? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for coming along to my video. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe in this age of legendary internet censorship. God bless.